We all know the events of today's Benghazi hearing go all the way back to that fateful night 3 years ago. On September 11th, 2012, 4 innocent Americans, Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty, killed, murdered. Terror in Benghazi.
The murder of a U.S. ambassador to Libya and 3 others.
4 Americans murdered.
No acts of terror will ever shake the resolve of this great nation.
So what happened on September 11th, 2012? It begins at 9:40 p.m. Libya time. A senior State Department security official at the consulate calls for help. The first report, the U.S. consulate in Benghazi was under attack. Inside, U.S. Ambassador Libya, Chris Stevens. 24 minutes later, 10:04 p.m. Libya time, a 6-person CIA rescue squad assembles at the CIA annex 1 mile from the consulate. Before leaving and heading to the consulate, the CIA rescue squad contacts local militias and the Libyan intelligence service. They say they need vehicles with .50 caliber machine guns. No one responds. At the same time, the alert goes out at the State Department announcing an attack. The CIA security team taking heavy fire heads to the consulate. 10:30 p.m. Libya time, Ambassador Stevens and diplomat Sean Smith take refuge in the consulate compound. The militants then set fire to the consulate, the smoke killing Ambassador Stevens and Smith within minutes. Meanwhile, back in Washington, D.C., at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Martin Dempsey, attending a previously scheduled meeting with President Obama. At 5:11 Washington Time, 11:11 p.m. in Libya, an American surveillance drone arrives overhead. On the ground in Benghazi, the CIA team at the consulate puts a group of State Department officers into a vehicle and sends it back to the CIA annex. Now the fight shifts to the CIA annex, where they take small arms fire and rocket-propelled grenades. At 6:07 p.m. Washington time, 12:07 a.m. Benghazi, a State Department alert goes out announcing that terror group Ansar al-Sharia has claimed responsibility for the attack. 1:01 a.m. Libya time, the attack stops. Some assume it's over. But those assumptions, totally wrong. 4 hours later, at 5:04 a.m. in Libya, CIA reinforcements from Tripoli arrive at CIA annex after being held up at the Benghazi airport. Minutes later, 5:15 a.m. Libya time, a massive new assault begins, this time with sophisticated mortar fire. 2 rounds miss, but 3 are direct hits, killing Americans Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. 6 a.m. Libya time, the attack is finally over, and Libyan forces with 50 vehicles arrived to escort the Americans to the airport. And back home in the United States, the story is just beginning.
Yesterday, our U.S. diplomatic post in Benghazi, Libya, was attacked. Heavily armed militants assaulted the compound and set fire to our buildings.
The Obama administration begins to explain the attack.
It is in response to a video, a film, that we have judged to be reprehensible.
This was not a pre-planned, premeditated attack. That what happened initially was that it was a spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired in Cairo as a consequence of the video.
An account that Secretary Clinton's own emails to her family members on the night of the attack suggests was wrong.
You're looking at an email you sent to your family. Here's what you said. At 11 o'clock that night, approximately 1 hour after you told the American people it was a video, you say to your family, 2 officers were killed today in Benghazi by an al-Qaeda-like group.
At today's hearing, did we learn anything new about the intelligence of what happened that night in 2012? Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge joins me. Catherine, you've been following this since day one. What did you learn?
Well, what we learned today is that Mrs. Clinton herself, in her personal correspondence, did not believe the video explanation for the attack. She also believed that it was a planned terrorist assault, that it was not connected to the video. And that's important because there was what I would describe as smoking gun evidence on the day of the attack. That was the strike on the CIA annex, the 3rd phase of the assault. 3 mortars on target in under 90 seconds. That takes a professional team, and it takes planning, and it forced the evacuation on that night, and it was known immediately. So this idea that we heard over days and weeks that it was somehow tied to the video Mrs. Clinton herself did not accept that.
Well, she sent an email off to her daughter Chelsea saying it's an Al-Qaeda-related group, and they had this group had been bragging about it on Facebook and social media. Now, the group later changed its mind and said that they didn't do it, but maybe they just feared that we're going to drop some drones, or drones are going to drop something on them.
Well, maybe, but she had a specific conversation with the Egyptians where she said it was not connected to the video and it was pre-planned. There was no demonstration. And I just want to point out, our ongoing reporting at Fox News showed that on September 17th, just 6 days after the attack, there was no demonstration. And we took a lot of heat here for taking that position in our reporting, but we were proven to be correct.
Well, frankly, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it was silly to say that there was a video. I mean, it never made any sense at all. At least to me, it never made any sense. Protesters bring placards; they don't bring RPGs.
Just as a final, the one thing that is still not clear is why there was so much jeopardy for the administration to simply say, we have Americans who take risks, and sometimes the risks go against them. What was really the downside?
President Obama on September 20th, 9 days later on Univision, was still saying the business about the video. But anyway, and even Secretary Clinton tonight is saying that the video had some big picture impact. But Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.